Support. Roll call, Commissioner Yower.
Here.
Commissioner Rosales.
Here.
Judge Shaw's here. Commissioner Dugnan.
Here.
Commissioner Schindel.
Here.
Please stand and join us in opening prayer and say stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and every day that you give us. We ask that you be with us and guide us today in the business of the county. We also ask that you be with the people from Live Oak County that had the tragic accident yesterday. And also as a day of remembrance for the astronauts that have all gone to their rest. In this I pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Citizens to be heard. Ms. Yarder.
That would be the item from the commission.
Sure. What is it?
What about it?
Okay. And Mr. Miller?
Judge, Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity to visit with you just for a second. My name is Philip Miller, former Commissioner of Wharton County, currently with Half Associates, an engineering firm, with offices in San Antonio, Austin, Houston, Conroe, Dallas. I guess I'm, for the lack of a better word, a snake oil salesman. I'm here to try to see if I can benefit you in any way possible as far as road designs or this is one I'd really like to help you on. Maybe I would need a drainage study done, but unfortunately we haven't had any rain, so there's no need to worry about that. But again, just wanted to come and introduce myself and hopefully get to meet with the road administrator sometime this morning and visit with him and wish all the best of luck and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
That's all on the item. The next item is number 6. It's a presentation from TxDOT District Road Show. It's the 2015-2018 Project List for Rural Transportation Improvement Program. And that's Joe Ramos with ACOG and TxDOT.
Good morning, Judge Shaw's Commissioner. Good morning. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us on your agenda. Last summer at ACOG, when the Alamo area rural planning organization got together, it was decided that again this year we would coordinate with TxDOT and bring them out to all of our member counties. And so I've been taking a whirlwind trip around our 13 counties and going to all the county commissioners for it. So today you're going to hear from TxDOT about their 4-year tip for Karnes County. This is your opportunity to provide input or ask questions about status of some of those projects. So I'm going to introduce TxDOT and let him introduce some of their staff for you. Thank you.
All right, good morning. My name is Clayton Rips. I'm the Advanced Transportation Planning Director from the San Antonio District. With me I have Darcy Shapul. She's kind of the local contact works with Joe Ramos and ACOG and the local MPOs. Then also I have Mark Mosley. For our district, he handles all the money, the funding allocations, and the work category programs. Just wanted to kind of touch on a couple things. Normally we have like a formal presentation with the screen and everything. We provided some handouts. Probably the most important thing we gave y'all was the map at the last attachment. Just kind of showing what's going on now. So you see kind of the projects there that are in FY14, and then looking forward at the next tip, the next 4 years. So it includes the projects plan that are funded from 15 through 18. Just want to kind of touch on a few of the projects that are under construction right now, like State Highway 72. You know, kind of you have a list of ongoing projects: 72, 181, the passing lanes, 27, 24. You have State Highway 123, State Highway 72, and State Highway 123, another seal coat. So kind of, if you kind of look at that map, you kind of see a majority of the projects are seal coats, which is a big allocation in FY14, which is kind of just going out there, basically chip seal, and protect what at least you have out there, low cost fix. And you see some of these that are in there that are rehab and overlays, which would include basically rehabilitating the roadway, some of the passing lanes to widen them, add shoulders, which is a safety improvement part of it. But other than that, what's shown on the map is kind of what we have planned. And just want to open it up for any comments, suggestions, anything that's kind of, that we should be looking for or planning for that's kind of not in that program. I know there's a lot more needs than what, of course, the money that's available, given the energy sector development down here. Some of these projects incorporate some of that. So, in a nutshell, that's what I have, and we'll open it up to questions. And of course, Will is here as a local, he's the area engineer for Karnes, and he'll be familiar with more of the local issues and can answer some of those questions.
On the State Highway 123, where you have State Highway 80 to Cibolo Creek passing lanes, is that like a passing lane every 4 or 5 miles, or is that, you're gonna double the lanes, like 4-way lanes, or?
You can't do a 4-lane all the way through because they consider it an added capacity. So when you do the passing lanes, you're limited to provide a passing lane for no more than 2 miles. And so you'll have 2 miles, but then the spacing, what you try to do is you look at areas where there's not a bridge, there's not some big structure, or you don't have a real bad curve, because you don't want to encourage people passing in those areas. So you go and you look at big picture, where are the best locations? Typically it's when you're leaving a town, you get about halfway to the next one, and then right before you get to the next one. Those are the most ideal locations. But of course, you take into account what's in those areas to do it, to avoid having to widen the bridge or replace culverts that don't need it.
Anywhere there's passing lanes here, that's exactly what you're talking about, what's gonna be done.
Yeah, it's going to be spots, but it doesn't mean in one area, there may be, if you're headed northbound and southbound, there may be a good location for a passing lane in both directions. So in that stretch, you may see, oh, it looks like it's 4 lanes, but it's just a passing lane in each direction.
Are you talking to this shit also?
The ones where you have widening, you're just widening the shoulder?
Just widening the shoulder. Some of them, it depends on the project. Some of them, if the roadway's in decent shape, you can get away with cutting in to where the wide edge line is and widen out. The majority of them, where they say rehab and widen, typically you're rehabilitating what's there, the base, spreading it out, bringing in some new base and surface, and then going from there. But it's basically to add shoulders. Those are safety improvements.
Those are the rehab and widening, right?
Yes.
The ones that just say widening, you're just widening the shoulders on those?
We'd have to look at it specifically.
There aren't any roads in Karnes County, go ahead and just take down to nothing, and like the conversation was in the South County, I think it was, where they would just pull up the pavement and just coat it with some type of oil or rock, and that would be it.
At this point in time, I don't believe we had any that were going to be in Karnes County. I know there's some, I saw.
Yeah, but I didn't know if maybe that might have come back this way by now. I hadn't heard anything.
No, and those kind of have to go up to Austin before they actually will say, hey, go ahead and do that. But no, not at this point in time. Anything else? Comments, questions, anything else?
Only comment I got, I got a lot of work to do.
230, on 239 right there, you have 2 of them, rehab and widen, and then you have rehab and widen. That's gonna be almost all the way through, or just those sections from State Highway 72 to County Road 135? Bottom right-hand corner.
State Highway 239,
The one from 72 all the way down?
To County Road 135?
County Road 135. That's what now, from 72 to 135, we're looking to add 11 shoulders for the first project, and we're going to have sequential projects that should take us from 135 to the Goliad County line. And then hopefully in the future, we're looking at one from the Goliad County line to 59.
And your name?
My name is William Lockett. I'm the air engineer
Okay.
here for Karnes County.
I don't think I have met you. William?
No, sir, William Lockett. In fact, I've
have a
got a
card?
card. Yes, sir, for everybody.
I have cards a little bit.
I'll get in touch with you.
Yes, sir. Please feel free to comment on any issue. Any other questions?
Y'all are touching almost every state highway or farm to market road that we have here in Karnes County.
We're gonna have a lot of, so yes, sir. Currently with the project that we have underway, 72 from Kennedy to the B County line. We're gonna work there. It's gonna be a passing lane project. We have 181 south from south of Business 181. Which actually goes into B County, so the passing lane project. We also have various intersection improvements that we're doing. State Highway 80 at FM 81, State Highway 80 at State Highway 119. We're also going to do some intersection work at 181 and 72 in Kennedy. That's part of the large project that we have here in Karnes County and in Goliad County to do some improvements to the intersections, add some left turns, some right turn lanes, and maybe some safety lighting as well.
That's good. These other two over here on 80, 180 and 123 and 80 and 119.
119.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. 119 and 81, contractor is under. I mean, they're pretty much in the middle of the project already. Right. We also have, there is a teleconference going on right now with my assistants with the energy sector projects. And we have 4 or 5 of them here in the county, and those will be kicked off in March.
And that's one contractor is design builder knows what, State Highway 119, 627, FM 81, 181, and 882.
Yes, sir. They're going to start, I believe, FM 82, State Highway 19, and US 181. Those will be starting pretty quickly.
Well, what do you mean energy sector? I mean,
There was a group of projects listed as priority to find additional funding, and they were all energy sector related.
okay.
So State Highway 19, 81, pretty much every mile 81 has been impacted. US 181, all city down to the county line. And so those projects, those needs were energy sector driven.
Is that the one that was in the newspaper where we got the extra money for tech stop funding from the legislative session? They said they found the money?
That's it, 250, I think it was 250 million dollars. But, and it's, what's unique about this one is they did it as a design build, instead of our normal design, bid it, and then build it as each individual project. They lumped them all together and put it out there, so they're hiring one contractor, and they have their own team of engineers, and they're what they call design build. They'll start on the first one while they're designing the next one, and so it's a faster process to get something out there. Karnes County, and Mullen, the one in Wilson, kind of go down towards.
It spans 4 districts throughout Texas. It's a very good project.
And that was money that wasn't already there, that was identified and getting out, so.
Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Megan had a question.
Oh, Megan wanted to ask, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just have a question as a taxpayer, actually. I live on 81 on the north end of here off of 1144 and 81. And they started a very wonderful project widening the road, and it's fabulous. But then it stops. I didn't know if that was, I was just curious if that was in part of your,
That is not on here. That happened this past summer.
okay.
We got some additional funding to do work with our maintenance crews. 81, 627, I believe we had another road in Lago County. But that venture was really multiple districts. We had crews coming in from the Oakland district, we had crew coming in from Laredo. And it was our own maintenance forces doing the work. And they started, that was kind of before, I guess everything was put in line with this additional funding. And then once the okay came for the additional funding, that's why they stopped, because 81 is going to be part of the energy sector road.
Oh,
So they were really just trying to do what they can at the time.
That's fine. Well, we got in front of my house, so that's good. Thank you. I was just curious.
Megan, the rest of it is on here. 81 is on here.
I live in Fall City, and I appreciate the turn lane that y'all put in there. It made a big difference.
Thank you.
It was really good. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Glad it's working, glad it's improved safety.
Yes.
And the positive comments are always welcome.
You don't get them very often.
Anybody else have anything else to write?
Actually, all the turning lanes y'all have put in, and all the passing lanes has really helped a lot.
Yes, they've been helping. 123, that's actually passing lanes are going to be from Karnes City, going up into Sabine.
Actually, I like the rumble strips y'all put out when y'all are doing y'all's construction, to let everybody know that something's up ahead.
Yes, sir. Those have been very helpful.
You can't put them on all the highways every so often.
We're actually trying to do a lot of rumble strips throughout the district.
Well, thank you guys very, very much.
Thanks.
Megan, I don't want to skip you, but I want to do Dennis, so I can get Dennis back to Dr. Saboni, and then we'll come right back to you, okay? So can we go to number 15? And that's discuss, consider, act, allow Karnes County EMS. Thank you guys very much. To place diesel fuel storage tank at Road
Thank you, Judge.
Bridge Yard located adjacent to the EMS facility. The diesel fuel tank will be used by EMS and staff fuel EMS units belonging to Karnes County. EMS staff will be responsible for reporting fuel used from the tank and other documentation as needed. This will not require a budget amendment. This was discussed at the January 14, 2014 meeting. Cost fuel to be determined. It's Commissioner Duke for Dennis Kelly and Mike Fox.
What we have people who are willing to put a 1,000-gallon tank on our facility, free of charge. All we gotta do is just do the initial fill at first, which was about $33.66. Fill it, and then after that, as you use it, you just keep it full. The only thing we're gonna have is just gonna be the electrical from the trailer to the tank itself, and just have the box. Other than that, they'll have their own fuel, their own use of it.
And they'll have a meter on it and all.
Yes, it'll have a meter, it'll have everything on it, and then charge it to the meter, start it.
This is something that's been needed for a long time due to sometimes the county credit cards or when the billing process hits, they're not paid, they end up getting cut off sometimes, and people have to use their own money to fuel the ambulances. This will stop a lot of that, and I think it'll be cheaper in the long term. And there is money in the budget for fuel, and he'll have enough to operate with everything. So with that said, I'll make the motion that number 15 is presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, Megan, let's go back to it. Number 7 is presentation and discussion. It's update on Texas Agri-Life Extension Service, Karnes County, and that's Megan.
Thank you for letting me talk to you for just a second. I just wanted to give each of you our yearly, we call it our Making a Difference document. It's a summary of our programs that we're highlighting. It has our total contacts reached, contact hours. If you look at the very back, there's a summary of volunteer hours that were contributed. And then the very last page, which I included this simply because this was new to me. I didn't realize we had this, but it is a summary of the volunteer hours contributed, turned into actual dollars that volunteers have ultimately donated with their time, just helping out in our different educational activities and presentations. So that is for you. I'll let you read it whenever it's yours. But the other thing that I wanted to mention to you is last week I spoke with Mr. Judnick about County Government Month and maybe doing some sort of a project with our kids, our 4-Hers. And we have this curriculum in our office. It's called Peace to the Courthouse, and it's got 5 sessions or 5 lessons in it. And then it also comes with different activities that we can do. And so I just wanted to let you know that I would like to do this, and I would love your involvement if you would like to be a part of it. I will start sending out emails to you, and we can try and schedule some different things. My thought was maybe at one session that we could have all of you, part of you, one of you, whoever, just come and actually speak to the kids face to face and tell them what it's like to be in your position. You know, we can talk about it, but it's a little different when they hear it from someone. So anyways, I'll be working on this, and I'll be sure to be included in planning and so forth.
You came up with, you might want to share with everybody, that's a good figure. She came up with $30,553.20.
The state 4-H office calculates this for us. We have 108 direct volunteers for the year 2013. They contributed 1,380 hours, and a volunteer hour is worth $22.14, so that equaled $30,553.20 for the year. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
The next one is to discuss, approve, disapprove naming a representative with Merrill Lynch Financial as a county broker agent for Vi's investment deal. They just want to join Ameriprise, and who else do we have on there?
Edward Jones.
Edward Jones.
And I met with Bob Martin, Merrill Lynch, a week ago, Tuesday, I believe it
Okay.
was. And so.
He just wants to get on it with
Yes,
everybody else, so
yes.
that's all that is.
That's all it is.
Yes, yes.
Make the motion to approve item number 8 as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 9 is discuss approve, disapprove, authorizing Herb Hancock, county attorney, to advertise for bids on an oil and gas and mineral lease in the local newspaper on the following Karnes County property, Lot 9, Block 73, with 0.0986 acres, townside of Karnes City, Karnes County, Texas. Lot 5 and 6, Block 203, with 0.264 acres, townside of Karnes City, Karnes County, Texas. Advertisement will be in the paper for 3 weeks and have the date bids are due and date of opening of bids. We just need to bid them out.
Make the motion to approve item number 9 as presented.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 10 is discuss, approve, disapprove to have Karnes County correct the quitclaim deed to James Rosales. The quitclaim deed was incorrect, dated September 29, 2004. Karnes County trustee quitclaim all rights, title, and interest being described as 3/4 undivided interest in Lot 22, Block 45 to James Rosales. The county trustee did not own any interest in Lot 22, Block 45 at the time of the 2004 quitclaim deed. Additionally, the interest listed in the document was incorrect as well. The greatest interest Karnes County could have owned in Lot 22, Block 45 was an undivided 9/16 interest, or 56.25%, being an undivided 1/2 interest acquired in quitclaim deeds at 699,521 or 727.1, or plus the undivided 1/6 interest from Alan Reed Tilson, inherited the interest of Nadine Engling in Lot 22, Block 45, being an undivided 1/16 or 6.25 through intestacy. I put that on there for her, and what that is, it's just correcting the quitclaim deed that we have with some property with James. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve this as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. James is going to abstain just because he's part of this party. So that's going to pass on a 4-0 with James abstaining only because he's an interested party. Number 11 is discuss, approve, disapprove, having Karnes County accept a correction deed from grantor Ellen Reed Tilson, executor of the estate of John James Engling, and administrator of the estate of Nadine Webb Engling on blocks 3.6833 acres more or less out of 31 blocks in Karnes County, Texas, deed dated December 6, 2000, recorded in volume 762, page 875 of the official records in Karnes County, Texas, and recorded September 19, 2001. By mistake, the grantee, Karnes County, Texas, was not identified and certain mineral rights were not reserved. The subject of this transaction covered 3.6833 acres and the 31 lots described in the aforementioned Karnes County deed. The grantor owns a 1/16 mineral interest in the property. I put that on there for her, and we just need an approval for him.
Make the motion to approve item number 11 as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 12 is discuss, approve, disapprove, authorizing Herb Hancock, county attorney, to advertise on bids on oil and gas and mineral lease in local newspaper on the following Karnes County property, 1.768 acres more or less out of block number 35 in the original town site of the town of Kennedy, Texas, county of Karnes, described as follows. Tract 1, all that tract or parcel of land described in that certain deed dated July 13th, 1973, converted into National Bank of Kennedy, Texas, to County Estates, State of Texas, recorded in volume 424, page 27 of the deed records of Karnes County, Texas, save and accept lands described in that certain deed dated November 5th, 1974, from Karnes County, Texas, to Boyce Linder and Maxine Linder, recorded in volume 438, page 191 of the deed records of Karnes County, Texas. Tract 2, all that tract or parcel of land described in that certain deed dated August 8, 1973, from Karnes County Development Corporation, the County of Karnes, State of Texas, recorded in volume 425, page 551 of the deed of records of Karnes County, Texas. Tract 3, all that tract or parcel of land described in that certain deed dated November 2nd, 1974, from West Linder and Maxine Linder to Karnes County, Precinct 1, County of Karnes, State of Texas, recorded in volume 438, page 195 of the deed of records of Karnes County, Texas. Tract 4, all that tract or parcel of land described in that certain deed dated April 1st, 1974, from Adolph Lot, I should say Adolph, to Karnes County, Precinct Number 1, recorded in volume 442, page 608. Of the deed of record of Karnes County, Texas. Advertisement will be in the paper for 3 weeks and have the date and bids of the openings. We just need a motion to approve that for her to advertise.
I make the motion to approve.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 13 is discuss, approve, disapprove authorizing Herb Hancock, County Attorney, to advertise on bids on oil and gas and mineral lease in the local newspaper on the following Karnes County properties: 0.43 acres, more or less, out of the William Hunter number 137, and the John Nesbitt survey, abstract number 219, Karnes County, Texas, being compromised of 2 tracts of land, more particularly described as follows. Tract 1 is 0.25 acres, more or less, out of the William Hunter survey, abstract number 137, Karnes County, Texas, being the same tract of land described in that certain deed dated December 30th, 1922, from D.W. Patton of Karnes County, Texas, recorded in volume 68, pages 119 to 120 of the deed of records of Karnes County, Texas. Tract 2, 0.18 acres of land, more or less, out of the John Nesbitt survey, abstract number 219, Karnes County, Texas, being the same tract of land described in that certain deed dated December 9th, 1896, from L.B. Drumgoole to the Karnes County Judge J.M. Nichols, Alice Duke, W.M. Patton, and A.W. Radford, County Commissioners, constituting the County Commissioners Court, in and for Karnes County, Texas, reported in Volume T, page 510 to 511 of the Deed of Records of Karnes County, Texas. Advertisement will be in the paper for 3 weeks and will have date openings for bids. I put that on there for Herb Hancock. We just need to approve for an advertisement.
I'll make the motion to approve item number 13 as presented.
All in favor? Motion, any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 14, discuss, approve, disapprove Karnes County's general new application for auto liability, auto physical damage, general liability, public officials liability, and law enforcement liability with the Texas Association of Counties Risk Flow Management, authorized county judge to renew applications, and that's Commissioner Dubnik and Milano.
It's our annual renewal on those policies, and we just need approval to renew and authorize Judge Shaw to sign so I can submit it.
You have 2 of the one or just one? Just one.
I make a motion to approve and let the county judge, Walter Shaw, sign.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Any opposed? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Luana, do you want to make a copy for Carol, or are they going to send you back an executed? Number 16 is discuss, consider, elect allowing JP1 to employ a part-time clerk at the rate of $9.45 per hour for 8 weeks if needed. This will require a budget amendment. Part-time help is not allowed in the JP1 current budget. This is an unforeseen matter, cost to be determined. Author Commissioner Dubnik, Kathy Stewart.
Judge Stewart approached me saying that she has an employee, actually it's not a part-time employee, it should be stated temporary employee. She has an employee that's going to be out on medical leave. Something has came up and she's going to be needing the help to continue work in her office.
So this person is just gonna be temporary?
Right.
In other words, fill in the shoes of the person that's still.
We can amend the motion to say temporary versus
Yes,
part-time, but it came in as part-time.
I mistyped
That's
it.
okay, we can amend it.
Then I move that we amend the wording from part-time to temporary.
Okay, so, sorry, with temporary, then there won't be
No benefit.
retirement benefits paid to it. It's just the FICA and Social Security and withholding is all.
But it could be a month or two.
Hey,
I'll make that motion to allow that, and with part-time change to temporary.
temporary is correct.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 17 is going to be discuss, consider, act, amend JP1 to appoint, let's say, temporary clerk.
Again, I'll make that motion, we amend that from part-time to temporary.
Temporary help is not allowed in the budget. This is an unforeseen matter, and the cost is to be determined, but it's going to be $9.45 an hour, so.
Okay, and 40 hours a week.
How long does your lady work now?
40.
Okay, then it's going to be whatever you do. That's what you're going to need.
Thank you.
So you want to, let's add 40 hours a week to our motion, so it'll be clear in here where everybody's at.
I amend that we would add 40 hours per week.
Number 17?
Yes, sir.
I'll second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Number 18 is discuss, consider, act, approval of application for participation in Texas Cooperative Liquid Asset Security Systems Program. And that's Vi and Shelby.
Basically, it's the same thing as with Merrill Lynch is another form of investments that we can use. They use tax pools. They're part of a pool.
So that's all you need? You just need a motion?
Yeah.
Just just need
I'll
approval.
make it on item number 18 as presented.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 19 is discuss, consider act approval of Texas Class Investment Pool, which is an acronym for the above, as an authorized investment. The cost is, there is no cost, or it's not, we don't know?
There's not a cost.
Okay.
For the application.
So we just need to approve it.
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve item 19.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 20 is to discuss, approve, disapprove, declaring the ES&S election equipment as surplus. The equipment to be declared surplus being 18 auto marks and 18 M100s as listed on the attached here to entitled ES&S election equipment for surplus. Ms. Karen?
And hopefully the attachment is there. I haven't sent it, but.
I don't, you know what, is it in here?
So, yes. But what it has on there is all of
I
the,
don't think I have it.
all of the serial numbers of the
Okay.
equipment.
She might not have included it in the package, she might have just put it in safekeeping.
Right, but I will make sure that Carol gets that for the records because it states in here that it is attached. And basically all it is, but like I said, is it's a listing of the 18 M100s and the 18 auto marks and their
Do they have any
invoice
value?
numbers.
Let me, you not
I'm
sign
still
it?
trying to figure that out, to be perfectly honest with you. That's why the next item, when we go to it, we'll talk about that a little bit more. But for right now, I need to get them declared surplus so that I can start looking into selling them.
Do you have that list for Karen's, do you have this list for this equipment, this ESS collection equipment that?
I had attached it to that email. There was two attachments.
Oh, yes, I can, will you print it first, please? So anyway.
I'll make a motion to approve item 20.
I'll second it.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Number 21 is discuss appropriate disposition of ES&S equipment and recommendations from members of Commissioners Court. Further, final disposition to be approved by the Commissioners Court at a future meeting.
And on that, the reason I worded it that way is because I'm not ready to ask you to put out an RFP or anything like that because I don't know that we would yield the proper results from doing something like that and limiting it to 2 weeks and opening bids and those kinds of things. I've been trying to do a little bit of discovery on it, but ES&S, as is their history, hasn't gotten back with me. But they had initially told me that they might be interested in purchasing that equipment and back from us. And so, just looking back, we paid over $217,000 for the equipment, so I'm hoping it's worth at least a little bit. And I've also, just so you know, we did purchase those funds with the HABA funds, and which was a grant, as you know. And so I have checked with SOS, and all we would need to do is, once we determine how we're going to dispose of that property, if whatever value we get back from it needs to be spent on more equipment that'll bring us, that is the same as what the grant equipment allowed. But I did double check, and there's one thing that I do need to purchase. I'll come to y'all. I'm going to actually come to y'all next month's meeting to maybe purchase some e-poll books and then also the hard equipment that we've already purchased. We will be able to apply it to that. So that's kind of good. So that'll all go back into our budget if we're able to get any money out of that. So what I'm looking for, I guess, in item 21 is just, I don't know that y'all do, but just to see if y'all have any other ideas. What I've done is I did put it out on my listserv for other counties, and I have heard nothing at all back from the other counties if anybody's interested in it or not. There are other counties using the equipment. It's got to have some value to them. It's got to be cheaper for them to buy our used equipment than to go to ES&S and buy it, but I haven't heard from anyone. And again, and I'd like to, be able to continue to discuss or to look into that but also to check with ES&S, and if I can get an answer back from them, maybe they'll buy the whole bundle. And maybe we won't make as much, but it'd be easier than trying to put it out there and sell one piece at a time. And so I just kind of wanted to put that on there so y'all will be okay with those two options and letting me continue to discover or to look into that until I can decide.
You have the other one in storage?
They're all in, yeah, they're in my storage building out there that's got the padlock on it.
What year did we purchase this?
2006. Yeah, but we've had some updates to them. I noticed, a couple of times that there were some, they were like sent in and that kind of thing, but 2006 was when it was purchased. And that's it, I guess.
Okay, here's the list, Carol. Let's see what we've got here. Just emails. Looks like there's one.
Yeah, it's just a list.
Is it just this one?
Yes, ma'am. It's one page. You need copies for all of that. So I guess we're done on that item. One more thing if I can, and I wanted to ask your opinion on this. I would like to be able to give you guys a report, but I'm not listed on the agenda. Do I need to do?
Do you want to be on the agenda too with reports?
Yes, but I would like to do one today, but I'll do it at the end with the rest of the
Right now,
reports.
whatever you're doing, whatever you have, that you want to give us.
Okay. Basically, I just want to let you know that, early voting starts on February 18th through the 28th. I want to make sure that everybody knows that. And that I'm working towards that. I've got lots and lots of work to do to get the equipment ready, and I'm going to have to do a testing on the equipment. And I'm still having trouble finding election judges, but I hope to have that finalized by next week. It's actually the job of the party chairs to find those judges, but they've been no help, of course. They don't have anything. And the list that I have, I'm going back, and the people, that have done it in the past either are out of town. I've gotten a lot of them, I'm going to be out of town that time, or a couple of them that have said, well, no, you don't pay me enough to do that. So anyway, I just wanted to touch base with you on that. I will be meeting with the party chairs and trying to get the contract signed on Monday. It's all put together, and it's just a basic contract, and they have to pay for everything except for early voting. That's the county's responsibility.
You're saying that the party chairs aren't helping you find these people. Who are do you have a list
The
of
two
them?
party chairs? The two party chairs are Rita Jordan and Marty Mitchell. Marty Mitchell. It was Mary Hickok, and
How do you spell Marty?
she left, M-A-R-I. Yeah, and I've got their contact information in my office. But, they just throw it back at me when I ask them, well, do you have a list? I said, well, I have the people that on my list have called, so. But anyway, I just kind of want to let y'all know. But, and then just one other thing, I guess I just want to put out like a public announcement or a public service announcement that there are some campaign finance reports due for some of the candidates. And I know in the past, I have, from some of the research that I've done, some of those reports weren't turned in, and it's not my responsibility to tell people when they're due, but I want to make sure that the candidates that are out there know to look at their instructions and make sure that they're getting those reports in. It's not a big deal to me personally. I want y'all to know that, but I'm trying to help you comply with the law in case anything comes up. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there to tell everybody because this is a good public forum, so I'm not telling just one individual, that read through your campaign finance report. I gave the instructions out with candidate packages, and so you'll get all your deadlines and everything in there. And also, office holders are supposed to be filing some reports as well, so just keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol.
Carol, that's number 11. Number 22, Vi, this is you. You can't choose.
Done her in while I'm moving out.
Number 22 is discuss, consider act on adopting time clock plus as the official timekeeping mechanism for the Karnes County payroll. That's Vi, Luana, Shelby.
Right now, according to our policy, our form of timekeeping is timesheets. So we need to change the policy to say that we're going to the time clock plus the automatic system for all employees who need to be clocking in and out. It's just, yeah.
Make the motion to approve item number 22 as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
We've had some really good, this last week was practice week, and this week is like the formal week, and we've had a lot of good participation in it. So they're still remembering to clock in and out. That's the biggest thing. But we'll get there. Thank you.
Motion carries 5-0. Okay, now we're going to go to number 23, which is going to be discuss, consider act on the Tyler Technologies for the financial software for Karnes County. And Shelby has on there, it's him for Herb. Herb's not going to be able to be here today. He sent me some emails I printed for y'all. And this one says, Judge, at this time, I cannot recommend that you sign the contract with Tyler. I ask that the item be passed at this time.
So when does he plan, can I speak please, because we've been dealing with this since October 1st, and this is beyond ridiculous. Basically, he's holding up my office and the auditor's office moving forward with the new technology, and I don't know what the issue is. I know we got a bill, and I'm not sure if it's up for presentation today from Kathy Chapman on the redoing of that contract. Is it up
Call
for?
the tax office software today.
Oh, okay, but we do have a bill from her for Tyler Technology for
I've not
us.
seen the bill
Okay.
from Kathy.
Herb, I talked with him the other day, and his concern is this, it's about the limited liability of the contract, and then again, it's a concern he has that if there's, somebody would hack into this software, what would the cost be to, I guess, to recover everything? What would Tyler do about if it's in the cloud? There's a few questions there.
Not in the cloud.
It will be, I think.
Eventually.
This
there's-
is, and then he added another thing, Bob, hold on, here's another email from her. It says, on item number 3, on Commissioners Court Agenda 131, we need to discuss parts of this contract with Tyler further. We have set a time for Monday, subject to the auditor's schedule, to ask them additional questions. Would you be able to sit in for the court? I don't know if he was asking me or you, he said to both of us, I guess you.
I'm not going to be here, I'm trying to decide the doctor's appointment.
But anyway, I don't know what he wants, but he's asking us to wait till Monday.
But why is it taking so long is my problem.
I don't know.
We're February 1st already. And we've had this on the agenda to be approved since October 1st with the new fiscal year, and he's dragging his feet, I'm sorry. And he's paid outside counsel to go in, spend tax dollars to get this contract approved, and they can't get it approved. This is ridiculous.
And I understand that.
And I'm not trying to fuss
No, I
at
also.
you directly, but
But I also understand that we've gotten into contracts now that we're trying to get out of, and if we'd have looked into them better.
that's
we
not,
would've-
that
I
does
know,
nothing to do
I
with
know,
my
but I
office.
think we need to review some of the contracts better, and I think that's Herb's concern.
Okay, and again, since October 1st, he's probably had that contract in his possession, so
Well,
can we get this resolved and then have it approved before the February 11th meeting?
y'all want to see what happens Monday?
February 11th. I think Commissioner Sindel thinks it's February 11th, it should be approved by then.
We're
Okay.
supposed to have a conference call Monday afternoon at 2 o'clock with representatives from Tyler as well as myself. I believe Kirk copied you, Barbara, on the email also.
Yeah, I think he was asking either you, someone from the court be the representative, right? on that
I got one from Herb, did the other guy copy us too?
Or you should have received one from Kirk Cunningham with Tyler Laker.
I received I received a little bill from him for a 2 o'clock meeting, yes.
Please, let's get that done. Okay. Because it's really, and then plus we're having to wait to get in line for them to come to training. And it's gonna, then pretty soon, believe it or not, we'll be doing budget, and this one over here's gonna be screaming, I'm not gonna. He's wanting to transfer over when he's trying to get the budget done. So please, can we get this
The call
urged?
itself will take time before they can even come down and actually do the installation of
We're
training.
having weeks of conversion and weeks of training, so. Help us get this moved along, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
So right now, no action on number 23.
But can you put it back on the February 12th agenda, 11th agenda, please?
Number 24 is discuss, approve, disapprove, moving money from the Road and Bridge and A. Smith Engineering Consultant fees to line item for our lobbyist Steve Holzhauser in an amount not to exceed $12,000. Put myself on there, Ronnie, Mike, and David Underbrink, because I have talked to them about this and our need, and David and Ronnie and Mike can actually help me expound on that as they actually understand what I'm trying to do. So if y'all would help me, I'd appreciate it.
Judge, I've reviewed this with David and Luana just briefly. We have a line item that was allocated in the 13-14 budget to pay engineering consulting fees. And unless Luana tells me no, I think that would be a legitimate expenditure from that line item. And I don't see an issue with that line item being short. I think there's adequate funds to do that. Would you agree, David?
You agree, David?
The only thing that needs to be done in the motion is it would be a line item amendment. It's not just moving money. It's
So a line item amendment. Okay. So,
And I would probably authorize up to that amount of money, and let's try to get some other counties involved as well.
And for the court's benefit, I met with the DeWitt County Commissioners Court Monday, and that was an item on their agenda, and they invited my input into it, and what we're trying to do is get as many counties to participate in the consortium as we can. And I'm sure DeWitt County's on board and we're on board. So the more counties that participate, the less of that $12,000 we'd have to spend.
right.
This is what we approved last meeting with the condition that we find funding.
Yes.
So therefore, I'll make a motion that we approve this item.
Just can't hear you, Pete.
I'll make a motion that we approve item number 24, moving money from the Road and Bridge Naismith Engineering Consultant fees as a line item for a licensed fee for any amount not to exceed $12,000.
I say.
All in favor? Any opposed?
I oppose.
Motion carries 4-1 with Shelby opposing. Number 25 is to discuss, approve, disapprove adopting abatement criteria and guidelines. Dr. Wheeler is speaking on it.
And the issue again with the tax abatement guidelines, I'll start with the fact that we still don't have anybody that does compliance, that ensures that the abatements we have out there are in compliance. And there is a company sending in a letter essentially saying we're in compliance is not fulfilling our responsibilities or your responsibilities to the taxpayers to ensure that the abatements that are currently in place are in fact paying their taxes, or if they have not provided the right number of jobs in accordance with the abatement agreements they signed with the county, then they should be put in a position of having to where we recapture the taxes that in fact were due and owing. Select is probably the biggest abatement we have, and again, we had the budget this year did not include anyone or any monies for economic development, which this falls squarely in the brink of economic development, and we need to attract. If we're looking at new industries, we need to identify the industries in the abatement guidelines that we want to do. If that's going to be distribution facilities, manufacturing facilities, those need to be specifically identified in the abatement guidelines. And to my knowledge, retail and service, such as restaurants, do not qualify for the recap for the abatement. And that's sort of what brought us here this time. But the concern that I have is that we are, again, putting the cart before the horse and not sitting down and going over the goals that we have as a county for what kind of industries or what kind of businesses we want to attract while we have an opportunity to do so. And so I would suggest that you either, and see, our current suggested guidelines that were put forth the last time don't have any any guidelines for how we will, who takes the applications? If we're gonna charge the $1,000 fee that we're allowed to charge for the application. And those are things that need to be addressed by the commission.
Thank you, Mrs. Jordan.
I know you talked to Lori.
I talked to her about this, wait.
Come on, Walter.
Yeah, I talked to Herb on Monday about guidelines. I presented the same guidelines that I've been talking to some of the commissioners. The guidelines are going to be drawn up. The guidelines is obviously a choice of the commissioner's court, but the abatements are most beneficial to small businesses like mine, and that's why I've applied for one. But what he said was he would be consulting with the commissioners and be coming up with some guidelines, hopefully for a vote at the next commissioner's court meeting. But everybody has a different opinion on how the guidelines should be drawn up and who would be qualified for those guidelines. So I'm hoping by the next meeting we can have a guidelines that we can vote on.
Shelby, what did he tell you?
Herb, when I talked with Herb, I sent him guidelines from Bear County, City of San Antonio, and then he had the ones that when I first came on the commission, didn't have very well drawn up. And Herb was tending for the one from Bear County because it was a 5-page thing, but it was simple and pretty well straightforward. But one thing about it, it addressed, I believe, basically attracting industry. And so he was tending toward that one. So he still had a lot of work to do on it. And so when he comes back, he was going to start, like I said, start working on it. And, since the article came out in the paper, I've had a lot of people call me and a lot of comments about they're not really in favor of us giving a tax abatement to a restaurant company or anything like that. They'd rather see it be for industry, the one that really employs a lot of people and brings a lot of tax revenue into the county. With that being said, I don't know what I'm reporting what I've been told, been asked by several people, and then there's some other issues that need to be addressed in the abatement, so we just need to really sit down with Herb and see what he comes up with.
The tax abatement is most beneficial to small businesses because we cannot afford to open if we're hit with big tax bills. Larger industries, I understand y'all want to attract the most number of employees. My guess is I'll bring in 15 employees when we open. And again, I know that Karnes City is considering a tax abatement. They don't have one right now, but that's about to be voted on. City of Kennedy has one. And I'm caught in between because I'm between Karnes City and Kennedy. And I know we all want restaurants. And like I said, there's no other restaurants except for one other one that I know of in the city of Kennedy that's being built, and I don't know whether they got an abatement or not, but again, I hope that y'all would consider small businesses as well as big industry for tax abatements. When the guidelines are drawn up, can't really vote until the guidelines are written, but hopefully we'll consider small businesses as well as large industries.
And I think I kind of get the opposite feedback on that because people wonder why we're given, like why we gave Select an abatement. You know,
It's just an industry.
Well, I know what an industry is, but you have Marathon Oil, ConocoPhillips, not a single one of them asked for an abatement. You have all these service companies in here, and not a single one of them asked for abatement. That's because they're making money hand over fist.
Yeah, small businesses are the engine of the economy.
That's
I can't feasibly open this place unless I get, because of the amount of loan. It's an old dilapidated building that could be really beautified and then, another place to eat, but it takes a lot of money to start a restaurant between federal and state guidelines. You have no idea what I've had to go through various agencies to try and get this thing off the ground. And as it turns out, we have a title issue that we're working on, so the closing's been delayed. We were supposed to close today, but I'm hoping we'll put this on the agenda for the February meeting. And Herb thought, when I talked to him on Monday, that he would not have the guidelines available today, but that he would have them available to talk about or vote on for the next meeting. So I'd like your consideration, include small businesses in addition to, as far as the big industries, that's between, I have no opinion of that, but small businesses, we need it the most.
With that being said, I read in Texas Monthly, and I found a tweet from Texas Monthly, it was for November, it was in November's edition, and it was about Cotulla. And Cotulla had Teagues come in, and they did a master plan for the county. They addressed their strengths, about their 35 being bad, what type of industry, what they wanted, and they was trying to, they created a plan for him to, the way I read it was to sustain the growth as well as to attract more growth. I don't know if Karnes County has ever had a master plan done, and if we did, has anybody ever followed it? It's just a question. It's just something I'd like to put out there for everybody to think about.
Well, and I think one of the other things is when we're looking at these abatement issues, it's like Mr. Dan said, and if you look at Kennedy has their criteria in place. Every county has abatement criteria in place. They don't just give it to industry. I don't know where anybody would go to even think that. I mean, I don't think industry just goes into every small county, but all counties have some type of abatement criteria to be able to set forth. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that. It doesn't say you have to grant to everybody that comes along an abatement. It just says offer the possibility.
I think an across-the-board abatement may not apply here, but at least consider on a case-by-case basis the abatement, whether it be a large industry or a small company like mine, perhaps.
All right, no action on this. Let's go.
And then we'll take no action on number 26.
Thank you.
Number 27 is going to be disapprove the implementation of lowering speed limits on county roads utilizing the two statutes set forth in the Texas Transportation Code. I put those in here for y'all, and if you'll see that there's two code relevant, two statutes, and then I have the running statutes in there for you. It's 545, 355, and 251, 154. Allows the Commissioners Court to set maximum speed limits on county roads. There's also an AG opinion attached. If y'all haven't had time to read these, y'all are going to have to read these before we decide what we're going to do. But
May I say something first?
yes, you may.
What do you want to set speed limits for when we don't have anybody to go out there to enforce them? It's useless.
And it's costly to make the sign.
Yes.
That's my opinion. We gotta get somebody to enforce the speed limit before you put it up on the road.
I think we had that discussion the last time.
We got a speed limit signs everywhere, but they run by them, there's nobody there to stop them.
Well, there's two ways you can do this. You can do a blanket. That way, right now we got, probably 15 different speeds out there.
Yeah. Right, we need to do.
Laws, and you got 15 miles an hour, 20, 30, 35, you got all kinds. And there's two ways to look at this. You can do blanket, which is the 251.154, which, in my opinion, that'd be the way to do it. And that way, all speed limits on all roads are the same. And they need to be that way.
They need to be the same.
But let me ask you this, Tracy, too. I mean, this is what the other battle that we come into when the sheriff's department's here. They said, well, how can we enforce them if you don't set them? So, you know, they both have
So we
their.
need to set them right. I agree.
We need to set them. I mean,
Some of the companies
But I agree
have,
with him, they need to be the same speed on all roads.
some of the
You know,
companies,
30 miles an hour or something, you know, like that.
some of the companies have gone on their own, posted speed limit signs out there by their projects and stuff, you know.
And they do
And some
set up
people have-
radar. They have radar out there. And the way they do it is the vehicle or the company that gets stopped speeding beyond the posted speed limit, you get so many strikes and you're out. Well, the problem is, we've got speed limits out there at 15 miles an hour, and that's not even, 30 is about the,
30, 30.
Yeah, what does it say? You have to look in there. It says, allows the Commissioners Court to lower the speed limit on a county road to 30 without conducting a traffic and engineering investigation, or 20 miles per hour in a residential section. So you can only go to 30 without a traffic and engineering study, which we're not doing a traffic and engineering study.
And I visited with Herb about that, and David was actually involved in the conversation in our office when we were working on the other part, but it would make more sense to go with a blanket 30. We wouldn't have to conduct an engineering report. We wouldn't have to post public hearings. The county could just adopt a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit on all county roads.
That makes good sense.
And I
Yeah.
printed the transportation code for everybody, so y'all can read it. The statutes are there.
We have,
One of the problems that we have is I know that we have some roads wrongfully labeled that we did ourselves, not the oil field companies or anybody else, that we did, that we need to,
They need to be changed.
that needs to be changed.
There was a couple of questions in the audience, Mr. Yarder.
It doesn't matter if you post it at 30, it doesn't matter if it's 15 or 55. We've got a sheriff's department that doesn't have the ability, the capability to patrol these roads and, hold the speed limit down. I live on a country road like you do, it's 30 miles an hour. I drive 25 going down that road because that's all I'm going to beat my truck up. But these folks who work in oil fields use that place like a racetrack, including big trucks. And when you call it in, by the time, the sheriff's department's just got other priorities. It's just not a priority for the sheriff's department to go out there and monitor speed on these roads. My fence has already been run down once. There's a corner there that the telephone pole's been knocked down twice, and vehicles have gone through those fences. The sheriff's department sometimes doesn't even respond.
Maybe once we set them a flag or something, then we can enforce it.
We have,
I just wanted to say, I live on a county road that is dirt road. And we have people going down that road 60, 70 miles an hour. And it just completely blankets everything with dust. It's not safe, especially if it rains. The roads are almost just a little bit bigger than one lane. And with ongoing traffic, those kinds of things, the 60 that they're going, if they saw a speed limit sign, I know those people would slow down. But they feel like there's not a sign out there, nothing's posted, and they can go as fast as they think their little truck can handle the mess. So I just really want to encourage you to consider lowering that for safety for drivers and for safety for the animals, property, fences, and those kinds of things. It's seriously an issue when everybody's going 60.
and I think that's the Commissioner's Court's concern. The rest of it, we don't have any authority over the sheriff's department or anybody else, or who calls or who answers. But if there's going to be, if you'll look, there's some AG opinions attached to this. To see, did anybody read through any of this stuff?
yeah, we have to set up a hearing, and then, once we have the hearing, public comment, then we can go ahead and address
Let's
the...
look at 251, 154. Now, is the hearing, 251, 154, is that only in the residential sections or is that all of it? Because I don't remember. I've read this too many times. I think, see, maximum reasonable and prudent speeds on county roads, the Commissioner's Court of a county, by order entered in the minutes of the court, may determine and set a maximal reasonable and prudent speed limits for vehicles traveling on any segment of the county road, including a road or highway intersection. In determining the maximal and reasonable and prudent speed, the Commissioner's Court shall consider all circumstances on the affected segment of the road. The maximum reasonable and prudent speed limit set by the Commissioner's Court under this section may be lower than the maximum speed set by a law for a vehicle traveling on a public highway. A speed limit set by this Commissioner's Court under this section is effective when appropriate signs giving notice of the speed limit on the affected segment of the road, of the county road.
I sent Herb a copy of the stuff that I had found. It included the wording for the hearing that we intended to do, and and all that, and that was coming, and that addressed the AG's opinion. And-
Yeah, and I have the AG's opinion in here too.
And it, but it was something that come from Allison. He had, I saw it on the website when he did it for some other county,
Okay.
things she had to do. So Herb has all the information. All we have to got to do is set a time for, if we want to do a hearing and then do the hearing.
I asked her, wait a second.
We got to also put it in the paper.
Wait a second, Shelby, before you get all that in
I'm-
there, are you
I'm-
sure that's not just the residential sections? Because Herb and I were looking at that, and one of these AG opinions was, I don't know, I don't remember. I read it to
So I'm
you.
just saying what I've seen, I'm not saying to do it right now, but we need to do is something.
There's just concern about this speed limit issue, and it keeps coming up. We have signs wrongfully posted. We can't enforce anything, and it says it's enforced once we put the signs out there, but we have 20 miles of signs out there, or 25-mile-an-hour signs out there. We have something out there that people have gotten tickets for that shouldn't be out there, I know that.
A lot of those signs, residential, you got red and white, orange and white, you know, all those things. So what do we need to do with this item?
We can pass on it till we get heard here and see if we have a public hearing or what it is we're gonna need to do, but I know we're getting a lot of complaints about, people just want the signs out there, and I'm kinda like Ms. Hansel, I think if people see them, they're more inclined to think, well, if somebody drives by me, they could give me a ticket. I mean, we don't have a highway patrol on every state highway, but we have signs there.
Now, what we need to do is kind of, park, we're gonna have to order all these speed limit signs to put up. Because as it says in D, until the signs are posted.
That's right, correct.
So I need to go ahead and get an order to get it going.
So that's what.
I read the statute today. I read it.
Well, we'll look at that, and like I said, I know Mr. Kelling's been really worried about his road. It's got a lot of traffic.
Judge, could I recommend that we consult with the county attorney and follow the legal requirements to post the road speed as a blanket 30 throughout the county?
Okay.
You don't have to take action this morning, but we need to make sure the procedure is done correctly.
We can do that, Ronnie, and we'll figure out what it is. I think that we went through this once, y'all remember? In February of 2011, we were in the district courtroom, but I don't remember exactly what we did. So we'll have to look. So we can do that and get it back on the February 11th agenda to get some of these signs out there, just for an awareness. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Get back on February 11th.
Did we decide to pass on it because we passed on 25? We passed on 25 and 26. And 27, we're going to take no action. And then 28 is discuss, approve, disapprove, correcting budget to adequately reflect full-time employment benefits for Rosa Geary. Full-time salary and benefits should have begun on 10/1/13, and that's P.
Okay, when we had budget hearings, we discussed having roads, full-time employees, going to be full-time benefits in 2014, whatever. I thought she was supposed to go on full-time, 40 hours. Now, what's your opinion?
What I have from our budget workshops is the request that you presented for courthouse maintenance, Pete, and on 6/10 and on August 14th, your proposals only included the full-time custodial supervisor. It did not include moving Rose into a full-time position. I know it has been discussed when we were talking about our look-back period for the healthcare reform, that that particular position would qualify for benefits anyway. But I don't see where within the local government code, it is a unforeseen or emergency situation to amend the budget to include that at this time.
And see, I thought that Rose had gone full-time also. I know we had talked about that.
I went back and listened to the tape, and it was discussed, and then the look-back period was brought up again, and Pete said, well, if we don't have to pay benefits this year, let's just wait till next year. I mean, you can listen to the tape if you want to.
I know we discussed it, and I thought it was, well, she's, of course, we're working together with Road and Bridge, and they requested she clean all this once a week down there, and so forth. So, anyway. She's willing to do that. I just thought that it had been, I may have said, I don't understand.
Take no action at this time.
We're just going to take the,
She said that's what the tape says. I didn't write it in that.
No, you just have one, the full-time custodial supervisor on 610. You requested at $13 an hour, and then on August 14th, you requested at $15 an hour. But nothing, no additional hours or anything were in your proposals for the other courthouse maintenance stuff.
did we not set a part-time policy? I know we were looking at one. What did we set for part-time?
What do you mean, hours, pay rate, what?
Hours.
It varies by department. Some of them have 30 hours, some of them have 38 hours.
Yeah, but didn't we go down? Did we not set some type of new policy?
No, that was kind of brought up with the healthcare reform. If you work on average 30 hours a week in your look-back period, then you would have to have medical insurance come 2015, and we had talked about writing all part-timers below 30 hours. That's what we had talked about.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, but we didn't, y'all didn't decide on, y'all wanted to just kind of keep it as it was. That's probably what you're thinking. We've done.
There's going to be no action on number 28 and 29. Number 30 is discuss, consider act on approving revisions to Karnes County Employee Policy Book, and that's Commissioner Duknick for Attorney Hancock and Bob Malone.
And I had handed everybody except James, got his today, packets earlier this week. They're also the same ones that we had handed, I think, back in November. Shelby and I did a phone conference with Mary Ann, signed, basically, we went page for page of the proposed changes on there. Majority of them are straight out of the book with TAC, with their policy manual. It's by law, your FMLA, your safe harbor, your nursing and other policy things that we have to have. There are a couple of things on the current county policy of our own that we have, some wording needed to be changed on there. The direct deposit's been changed for it's mandatory for new employees as of the January meeting, making time clock plus the official timekeeping mechanism, that thing. It's pretty much, it's just cut and dry.
And Vi also is, a lot of time in this, and then, again, it's, Mary Thompson
Signs
signs
Thompson,
the
yeah,
tax lady, who's the HR person, she's the one that we spent, on the phone with and made recommendations. We forwarded a policy to her, she made changes. I think we're in a good direction, good start of what we're trying to do. There is a time clock policy in there, and it's a short one, but it states that the time clock policy, time clock plus is the official record keeping time for the county, so.
Right, currently it says time sheets on there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to pull another email from Herb from this morning, because Herb was here late yesterday. This one says, Shelby, I was in the judge's office yesterday, and Sylvia showed me a copy of the revisions of the employee handbook. It appears more like a rewrite of the employee manual. That being the case, I suggest that you get Kathy Chapman to look at the employee manual for our office. Please do not put my stamp of approval on it at this time, Herb.
Seriously?
We have the TAC HR representative.
Well, my thing is this, I think we ought to approve this, and still, as any policy is, there's always, you can amend and change policy
Yeah, and
as we go.
there were
We need to get this in place now because it's of the time clock and some FMLA
There's
issues
some
and the
FMLA
safe
issues,
harbor.
there's military leave
And the
issues.
GINA, and the
There's the
GINA.
GINA issues, there's the safe harbor issues, there's a nursing mother policy. Some of there were copies of our policy that we had, that we changed some words on, and they're kind of grayed on your changes. There were some wording issues that we had to change on there, so,
Everything's been highlighted.
they're been highlighted. We went through it with TAC, page by page, on the first page by page itself. And then the changes that we need to be made, I sent them to TAC for Mary Ann and Elizabeth Bell to look at. And Shelby and I had a phone conversation with Mary Ann on making sure what I changed was the correct changes according to the human resource specialist at TAC recommended that we do. So I don't know what the issue is on here. Yes, it looks like an old policy of ours that we already have, but things that we've added to it or had to change because of the law.
I talked with Herb on the phone, and he said, after I explained him what it was, he had no issue with it, but it was.
Yes, that's something that TAC said we needed to put on there.
Everything that's highlighted is changed.
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So it does look like our policy that we have now.
Well, this isn't organized, there's sheets in here with no numbers on them, no page on them, no anything.
Right,
What are
because-
these? That's just thrown in?
No, those are new policies according to TAC.
Well, you need to put all that in
Yes.
order and put numbers on and get this in order so we can approve it.
It's just changing pages of the policy that we already have.
So we're gonna approve this package and then
It's-
y'all organize it?
Yes, and when we kind of talked about it before, is like getting a company to come in and actually format it correctly. So whenever you make a changes, sometimes if you add it to a page, it throws the page numbers off. Getting a company to come in and help us formally do that. So all I gave you were just the specific pages that needed to be changed on there. Or added to it, like the ones, like the safe harbor ones, the FMLA ones. We totally revamped that one and the drug
Nursing
policy.
mothers.
The nursing mother, it's a new policy. You have to provide a room for nursing mothers other than a restroom. That's the law. It's the labor law. We had to do that. So some of, yeah, it may look like it's unorganized, but it's because I didn't want to hand you the whole book and you having to go through the whole book to look.
But can I ask you a question? Why are you sending stuff to her? If you don't care what he says, why are we sending it to him? Why are we
What do you
asking-
mean if I don't care what he
Well, we're
says?
asking for his approval, and then you said, well, no,
I talked with him last night.
I did too, and he told me not to do this. That's what I'm telling you.
So why would we need to
Well, then
hire
I'm sorry.
an attorney to look at something that you have human resource specialists who, that's what they do, going page for page and approving it, to make these changes.
And that's one of the benefits of being a participant with TAC, is we get that service free. We don't have to pay an outside legal counsel to peruse our.
Because there are some things in there that we're out of compliance with in the state laws because we're not providing those policies.
And when I talked with Herb, he said it was like a rewrite. Yes, you did say. He
Yes.
sent me the same email.
Yes.
But I told him that everything, he likes Mary Ann, and he thinks he told me what she does has got to be on the up and up.
Correct.
It's got to be right.
Correct.
And yeah, I agree that, to me, a lot of these policies should be more enhanced, but,
And that's where I said that I don't want a policy this
But-
big.
Herb said that, and I explained to Herb, I said, if we have, if we get this passed, I said, we can go ahead and then come back. What he wants to do, he wants to get, I guess it's my understanding, he wants to try to get Kathy Chapman to kind of be possibly an HR person on the side to handle.
She's not a county employee, she's not a county elected official.
Listen to me what
I'm
I'm
sorry.
saying. And he's trying to say he wants to probably get her on the contract, where she maybe come in a couple of days a week or something, I don't know. But,
No.
he's trying to, trying to get this right. But the main concern I have right now is the time clock plus and the nursing mothers and the GINA
And the safe harbor, and the FMLA was out of compliance because there was some old things in there. We have a policy committee, we all met, we went page per page with it with Mary Ann. She came probably about a year ago. I mean, it takes a while to get this stuff changed. We went in and, we being me, we changed everything that she had. We sent it back to her to make sure I did it correctly. We went over it again with her on the phone, page per page, and if there was something that I did wrong, we changed it, and she corrected it again. So we're not trying to throw anything out here, we're trying to protect the county. Basically what we're trying to do.
I don't want to speak for Herb, and if he asks us to wait, I think we should wait.
And again, here we go again with the contract. Somebody who's not employed with the county out there looking at a contract that's already taken 4 months, and here we are out
Ron,
of
do you see how much
compliance.
money we've lost in contracts? Just trying
No,
to
I
get
don't,
out.
because
How much have we lost? How much have we lost?
There's been a lot of money we've
Well,
forfeited,
what's the
Scott.
number?
Why don't you go back and look? There's been a lot of money
You're the one
that we've
that brought it
forfeited.
Okay, well then, if y'all are gonna do that, you wanna wait till he comes back, I'm gonna ask y'all pass on the time clock plus policy, because we just said that time clock plus was gonna be the way people are gonna be paid. And so you better have a policy in place for that.
And
What
we're-
happens if we pass this today and then you have to come back and
Then you make
Then you
it.
make it
just
amended.
amend it.
Yeah.
It's just amended, it's not an issue, I mean, you should always amend it again.
It's the ones, Tracy, that were out of compliance with the labor laws, like your FMLA, Nursing Brothers, the ones that we don't have, or they're outdated, that really need to be changed.
Does
There's-
Mary Ann run this by the legal department there also?
Yes, yes, the policy that she gave us, the sample policy she gave us, and the ones that are in there, their legal department looks at it before they say, yes, this is what you can hand out to other counties to use as a sample.
I have a couple of concerns. Michelle, you're saying that Herb said it was fine if we pass it, we can make the changes?
We can do it, we can amend the policy.
Right, as we go.
As we go, just like we're doing now.
But the judge got this email when this morning?
No. Herb and I were
Yesterday
here late
afternoon.
yesterday.
I got
Oh, it was last night?
And it was because of Sylvia's concerns.
But he was saying not to
But
pass
Sylvia
it?
doesn't run Commissioner's Court, so you
It
all,
was-
except for James, had opportunity to look at these policies.
He asked to look at it. He comes in and gets his stuff, and he looks at the stuff to see if there's anything he needs to review. He said he looked at it. I don't think Sylvia has a concern about a nursing mother or anything, 'cause I don't think she's gonna do that anytime soon. But, she says she showed me the revisions. I was in the judge's office yesterday and spoke to Sylvia, and she showed me. I guess he asked to see them. I don't know. But all I know is he told me, he asked me to wait. That's all he did.
Wait for what? For Kathy Chapman to come in and charge $200 an hour to look at a policy that basically is based according to the law and reviewed by the law office out of TAC and reviewed by Mary Ann Sines and Elizabeth Sutherland, who are HR specialists.
We need to pass this, and then we can come back and revise it as we need to. I'm gonna call a question, I call for a vote, I'm gonna make a motion, we approve these changes as presented.
And if Herb has anything he needs to amend it or anything?
Then we can change
We
it.
can change it again.
I do respect that he said to
Yes,
wait,
he
but.
said, please
we
don't
have
put
to-
his stamp of approval on
Yeah,
it.
we didn't want to say what Herb said, it's okay. That's all he's saying.
Right, I understand. But yeah, I know you had some concerns, what do you think?
And I can get the whole thing for you, page by page, Pete, with the new changes on there, if that would make it easier for you.
All of these papers that don't have a page on it, some, they do belong to a page there?
Yes, yes. It just, when you add something to it, it drops the numbers down, and
Fine.
we're talking about a 56-page document that we have to go in and reformat.
I understand what you mean, it could be on a different page since
Correct.
it's, I understand what you mean.
Yeah, well, I don't see that, where this page fits, which one is supposed to be attached to or what else.
Well, if they're stapled together, it's the whole policy itself. If it's just a single page, it's just an update of the current page that we already have. And there may be, instead of may, was changed to shall, or like with the time sheet, it's considered a legal document. That was added to it also. I'm trying to think of some other changes that we made on there.
Legal document, that doesn't have to be in there, no, it's a legal document.
But in policy, it's better to have it and then not need it, but have it and then need it and it's not in there. And so it's just one of those TAC recommendations. It wasn't ours. It's never been in there without some of the TAC highly recommended that we do. It just protects you, the county.
But I'm gonna second his motion to be able to let Hancock come back and if we need to revise it or whatever.
And it changes the.
Change it, amend it, or whatever we gotta do, just to get it over with real quick.
Thank you, Tracy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Motion carries 3-2. Number 31 is discuss, consider act on update Senate Bill 1747, and that's going to be Ronnie and Mike and David.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Well, we've been going at this for a while. Normally we have
No, I have this.
one of these, but I'm giving you a larger package. We've been working on several things. Road and Bridge has been pretty busy. Three things to tell you about. We hosted a training session that TWX put on for several counties in this area, Wilson, Guadalupe, of course, Karnes, all came, and there was about a dozen people there. Informative, but he didn't have much to say other than here's some documents that you can be thinking about. So I've included some documents in here at the back that shows you the exercises that we went through with him. Basically, it's set up on a cost per mile. They've got a little spreadsheet in the very back of this packet that automatically calculates things for it. It's a neat little deal. What they're looking for, the important part of this, is they're looking for cost per mile when they look at your application. So also this week, and Ronnie's going to talk about the Transportation Commission meeting yesterday, wherein they considered an extension to the application date. It was going to be February 7th, and they've now moved it to March 7th. And then on the top page, and I think y'all have an advanced copy of this, in order to fill out the application, we have to have a prioritized list of projects. So we have come up with our preferred projects, but this needs to be reviewed by you guys. And if you want to move anything, then you may. Right behind the project list, and that's a text doc form that they've got available, there's an impact based on county road by county road that has been provided. It will tell you what the 20-year well spacing gives you as an impact to each road. So that was used in order to come up with some of the prioritization on the first page. So I'm going to let you know that was there as well. So the important part of all of this is we want to make sure that the roads that are listed, at least in the top 10 or so, are needing to be up in that priority. And if there's anything that we need to switch around, we'll know about that too.
Is this what we're looking at for submission?
Yes, it would be on a form like this, and it would be filled out all the way across with costs and time schedules.
Is that deadline still today at 5? We have to do that again?
No, it was going to be February 7th, and they've now moved it to March 7th.
And 30-day extension.
Yeah. So, and then to solve this today, but if you have some input you'd like to turn it to us, and we'll put that together in the next week or so.
Ronnie's
And Ronnie's chomping at the bit. He wants to tell you about the commission meeting yesterday.
Okay, looking at this, it says all by competitive bid. Is that the plan, to do it all by competitive bid?
Not necessarily. Ultimately, what we talked about was allowing the county forces, because if you look at the grade rows across about the middle of the page, a little higher than the middle, the second one, example number 2, about the middle of the page says county forces. So they're going to allow counties to use their own people to do things. So what we talked about was hiring contractors to do the part that we're not comfortable with or don't want to do. And then county could get ready by doing culverts and bridge widening or something like that. Moving materials back and forth. We could buy materials and have them delivered out for a contractor to install. So there's a lot of possibility here, but we've got to put something down. So for right now, it just says that. But we're going to have a plan for each one at some point.
So this is just working right now?
This is our working document. That's right. It's draft,
Okay.
and subject to change. Okay, and Ronnie wanted to talk about the commission meeting.
TxDOT had the monthly commission meeting yesterday in Austin, and item number 6 on their agenda was the County Transportation Infrastructure Fund Grant Program. And basically, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but was to set the date in the original minute order. The date for submission for grant applications was February the 7th through the 14th. This item was a proposal to move the date from February the 7th through 14 to March 7th through 14. And I went up to testify and speak to that issue. My position was that if you want to move the deadline back to March the 14th, that's fine. It allows counties that didn't have time to get their zones established, their advisory boards established, and meet the criteria to apply. But I asked and recommended that they keep the opening date February the 7th. And Jim Allison was there. There were 3 people that testified on this issue: myself, LaSalle County, and Jim Allison. And I went first, and after I made my presentation, there were some questions come up. And Jim Allison was second. They asked Jim what his position was on the date proposal. And he said he certainly would support it and agree with it to avoid any bottleneck or any glitches in TxDOT's system to narrow all the applications down to 1 week. There were some other issues. There were some problems with dates and deadlines. So ultimately what they did was they voted and approved setting the date March the 7th through March the 14th. Because if they were to formally start accepting applications on February the 7th, they have a 60-day period that they have to review and submit and then approve, so they could possibly be approving applications before all the applications were submitted. So that makes sense. But ultimately what we did, what they agreed to do, and I met with staff after the meeting, and they're going to allow Karnes County to submit our application during the February window. And they asked if we would be their test case. They're going to use Karnes County's application to test their software, to test their program, to make sure it meets. In exchange for that, they've offered to provide technical assistance to us to make sure that everything we do are in compliance. So we've had questions come up that we've asked TxDOT staff that they haven't been able to answer. For example, the in-house question, the issue of whether or not the work could be done in-house or if it had to be contracted, because the language in the bill in some parts makes it appear that it has to be contracted, but we're working on that. That will be something they will give us a definitive answer on. Some of the other issues were the time frame. You know, we discussed this at the training session, Judge. You were there briefly, and I know you had to leave. Shelby, you were there. And the decision yesterday was that they want this all distributed the first 2 years. They want the money out and the money spent on the projects, on the programs. I think what's important is to get you to look at that sheet that David gave you. It's a work in progress, but for us to be able to submit that to TxDOT, I would like the court's approval on the rating. So what I'm asking is, if we're going to submit this during the February 7th to 14th window, if each of you would take that, and if you have any changes, you want to move any priority higher or lower or anything else, work with David and I, and let's have a final proposal and get it on the February 11th agenda and have the court approve it. That way on February the 12th, David and I could submit our report.
I'd like to have one, Ronnie, where we can record it
Yes.
where it doesn't say work in progress, confidential.
Right,
We can
and-
record it, so it can be, everybody can come view the county roads that are gonna be done. We need to announce those county roads of the roads that are gonna be completed, so people will know what surface is going on what county road, and if they have questions, they can ask.
And I asked that you put it on the website.
The one that we, the real one.
The one that.
The final one.
The final one. Is it possible if we have, if we could get a response back from the court on the 11th,
We can do that.
establishing the priority? Either agreeing with the way that report is submitted, or if you want to move something, and have it prepared so that when we come back on the 11th, we can get a court approval, and then we can make our submission.
We have till March 7th to figure the priority. So whatever we turn in early can be changed as well.
As long as we know that there's, so the general public will know which roads are being surfaced, what's being done, because that always becomes an issue of why was it this road or why was that road? Let's explain up front why we chose the roads we chose, or why we're surfacing the roads we're surfacing, or why it's asphalt, or why it's base, or why it's, and I feel if we let that information out first, that will explain.
I agree, and that information's in that packet that you have. David brought a impact study, and we made our selection. Mike and David and I spent all day last Tuesday putting this together. And is Mike still in the room? Mike, we were all three in agreement on the prioritization on these numbers that we're giving the court this morning. And we put a lot of work and study into it. And so the rationale is there. We didn't just pull these out of the air, and I'm more than happy for the public to be aware of how we arrived at that order.
Well, I'd be interested to know what the criteria was for selecting the roads. You could do it in.
It was based on an impact study done. David, you brought that impact study. Maybe you can explain it better.
The impact study was based on how we saw the oil field development over a 20-year period impacting each road. And so we used that impact study as one method of deciding which roads might be on the list. Plus the fact that we've got a history of 4 or 5 years worth of traffic that's already impacted roads. And we've also learned from the fact that people are using roads to cut through, to traverse across the county. Also, those roads were considered. So we used all three of those to try to decide which ones ought to get done first. And each one of the roads that are on the list are very highly used roads. I mean, they're going to be very expensive roads to build in order to serve the industry. So they're not roads that the county might maintain on their own. None of them are bond roads, with the exception of one.
326.
There was one that we decided we would also put on the list, 326, because it's so highly used. But anyway, that's the three criteria that we use to come up with the prioritization. So those roads that are the most heavily used are the ones that are at the top of the list. And I'll be glad to give a copy to anybody who would like to see it, what we came up with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda, 32, Tracy asked me to scratch. Number 33 is approve, disapprove granting Comstock Oil and Gas LP a utility permit to install a 3-inch gas and oil line along County Road 387. Comstock Resources shall save harmless Karnes County and its officers and employees from all claims and liabilities due to non-conforming activities of the permitted utility. It's Tracy.
This guy came to us, they want to put a flow line in a ditch along the fence line about 2,300 feet on County Road 387. They're going to put 3 lines in. One of them will be the full length, the other 2 will be half the length. And they offered to pay $15 a foot. If y'all accept it. If not, go on, turn them down. It doesn't matter to me. I just wanted somebody else to rather than me making that decision.
How deep is it gonna be?
It has to be at least 4 foot.
4 foot? From the bottom of the
ditch.
Yes. They'll be at least 4 feet. They take any utilities and.
Mike?
What alignment are they using? They're gonna go 3 foot,
Come up here, Mike.
4 foot, 5 foot?
You mean with 3 lines?
Yeah.
They're gonna set them on top of each other.
Or they're gonna put them all on top?
All in the same, that's what they told me.
Okay,
All in the same
they're gonna
ditch.
go 3 foot alignment, another one 3 foot from the fence all the way down?
That's what they said.
Are they going to survey the property, make sure they put it in the right place? Our fences have been.
Right, I understand.
That's
That's
the
why I
only-
wish that guy was here today. If y'all turn it down because he wasn't here to explain.
And we can get with them and get them here.
Okay.
If we're gonna go out there and put a light on county road and we don't even know where our boundaries are like right now, that people put on somebody else's property, we'd never know it.
Yeah, it has to be surveyed. They have to survey it. They have to survey it before they put the line.
Okay. Now, as long as they follow a 3 foot alignment,
Right.
because eventually, being that we're gonna have these road, all our utilities, from now on, we'll be having to follow alignment, not just go right down the middle of the road like they used to.
Right.
Everybody's gonna have to go back, water line either 3 foot or gas line 3 foot, water line certain, however we do it. Alignment, so everything's uniform out there. It's not just one up there.
You want to wait, Tracy, and talk to the city here?
We can.
No action?
No action.
I think Scott had, I'm sorry. Barry.
Scott
I
had-
just had a comment that I don't understand why you wouldn't, there's obviously a private property owner on the other side of that fence line, and why would the company come to the county for an easement? Why wouldn't they, typically they negotiate a contract with the private property owner? And I would assume it's because you would take the lowest amount of money.
Quite possibly.
Possibly, yes.
And why would you do that? Why would you set that precedence of doing that?
I know we did.
Becomes an issue.
I've never, what do you mean?
Thank you.
I mean, I know when
In
they go on
other
your
words, what
private
he's
property.
saying is the landowner denied them put that line in there.
Right, the landowner
Because I
did.
imagine they don't have any mineral rights to it or whatever. and They
So
don't,
that's
they
why
don't
it's
want
the
nobody
case
to let
that-
anybody go. So
But
anyway,
if they show up, they can still request to, correct.
I'll call him and tell him.
Number 34 is to disapprove following a floodplain permit to include guidelines for wells and pipelines.
Okay, the first 2 pages is the part of our application for the floodplain. And it's general, it's mostly doing with buildings, the guidelines that we have in place. Thomas, who is our engineer, went into the FEMA guidelines and the the CFR guidelines. And the last 2 pages are the guidelines that he came up for well pads and for the pipelines. And this just simplifies for them what information we're looking for when they do develop in the floodplain. Right now, there's not any guidelines for wells or for pipelines.
Where did you get this, Melinda? This is something that San Antonio River Authority developed, and you're kind of,
This, the first 2 pages, that's been part of our application for development.
right, but this last part?
The last 2 pages came from Thomas.
Okay, so he did this, not the
Yes.
okay.
That he did look into the FEMA guidelines and he got all this information from their guidelines.
I mean, you're gonna need to know where they're at. I mean, you need to have it.
Yeah, it's just like I said, they're fighting
I
this
know.
information, wanting this. So this is just to let them know that it is in our guidelines, we did adopt them, and this is what you need to do.
And I think this ought to be put on the website as well. That way they can download it themselves and then if they bother you as much to come get, the permit and so on.
I make a motion, we approve number 34 as written.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. The next item is payment of bills.
Who was that lady?
No, I meant 911 map. I assume the mapping department is that there's two of those ladies that work in 911. One of them is the one that came down from
I'll point out items of interest on page
She's
2. The first entry, you'll notice a payment of $15,000 to Rideout Barrett and Company Professional Corporation. That is the fee for the EMS internal review.
Luana, have we got that money yet?
Where's that?
From Medicare, Medicaid, Medicare, we've been working on?
We have begun to receive claims back from August of 2013, which was our reinstatement date. I have not had a response back on the correspondence asking for redetermination. Also in that same category is $2,678.94 to Denton, Navarro, Rocha, Bernal, Hyde, and Zeck for special counsel fees. There is also an $800 payment to Catherine Schrader Chapman for attorney fees for reviewing the license with Pritchard and Abbott for the tax assessor collector's new software. There is also a payment of $5,000 to Texas Association of Counties for special counsel services. It's the deductible for claim number PO 2013-514, which references Karnes County and Premier Backroom Services. On page 3, 2/3 way down under section 500 for capital outlay, $8,135.68 is the completed balance of the tile installation at 200 East Calvert. We have $107.42 on the courthouse annex parking lot. Courthouse roofing project phase 1B, $6,737.45 to Graham Loon. Courthouse phase 1A, $2,275.51 to Daly and Spears. On the jail, we have a total of $353,544.80. Of that, $350,374.80 is to the contractor, Hale Mills. And then the final entry in that category is $10,600 to Cop Sync. That is for the installation of the Cop Sync panic buttons on the county desktops. Go to page 8, under Road and Bridge, 2/3 of the way down, there's 4 entries for bonded monies totaling $88,573.94. The total for this bill cycle is $653,375.41.
What happened to, you had to have a record for a chopper?
I believe it was a deer, wasn't it, Robert?
Yes, we were reimbursed by the insurance company. The insurance company paid that back, so it didn't cost the county nothing.
You'll also see the bill for those repairs shall be midway through to Tommy's paint and body.
These two attorney, judge were approved by Herb.
I haven't had time to do any of that lately, so Herb's been doing most of it.
That's been Herb right there, so those two attorneys were Catherine and Denton and all those.
Herb knows everything that goes on. There's not a thing that goes through here that I don't ask Herb. Except this one email from Ross right here where Herb was not here and I asked for the reinvestment guidelines, which we can have reinvestment guidelines, but that's the only one. There's an email. And there's a bill from Navarro. Y'all go through those bills. Go through them before you approve them. Because the bad part is we come in here and Luana points out certain bills to us. We don't know what all bills are. We don't go through them page by page by page. And if we went through every bill page by page by page, we'd have a lot of questions. But in 5 minutes, we come in and review this and go, okay, we approve it for how much?
Over $600,000.
Over $600,000. So we're doing that in just like microseconds, nanoseconds, and we're out of here. And if we'd sit there and go through these bill by bill by bill, we'd have a lot more questions.
Luana, are you thinking about coming back on on the credit card. We had talked one time about maybe you were gonna try to get the court to allow you to pay those bills that come in that need to be by the 10th or something.
We'll have to do a blanket again addressing everything that's allowed outside the limits.
That's what I was saying.
I will remind the court that all bills are available in the county auditor's office for perusal, should you so desire to come look at the detail before court, before you approve them.
Maybe pay the bill.
All in favor? Any opposed? Before we pay that, before we pay that one on the Texas Association of Counties that Luana pointed out, if that has anything to do with Premier, I think we've all finally figured out that I am an owner of that company. I'm not going to pay that part of that, I'm going to abstain from that part.
Okay, now can we get to
Yes, can we please reflect that I will abstain from that part? The next item on the agenda is to adjourn. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. You know what?
I'm gonna be out.
We did it last year. So